Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Brady, Chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. America is the greatest country on earth. We don't have to settle for a second-rate economy where paychecks are flat and millions of qualified Americans. And why is America growing weaker while our foreign competitors grow stronger? The problem is the costly, complex, and unfair tax code that Washington imposes on hardworking taxpayers. House Republicans, led by our Speaker, Paul Ryan, see a better way. And today we propose a new tax code for the American people, a tax code built for the growth of paychecks, for the growth of local jobs and economy, and the growth of America's economy. And first, we unleash new job creation with the lowest taxes in modern history on local businesses, small or large, corporations or family-owned. And here's why. Washington must take less from these job creators so they can grow the local economy rather than Washington's economy. For the first time in history, we'll change the way America taxes its businesses so they can compete and win, whether on Main Street or in Madrid. And when they win, they will not be charged one dime to bring those profits back home here to America to be invested in good jobs, research, and growth. For the first time, we'll end the penalties in the current tax code that too often force American companies to move their jobs, their technologies, and headquarters overseas. No longer will we be the only major country that still taxes its own exports. No longer will American products lose out to foreign competitors simply because they're proudly stamped Made in America. For the first time, local businesses will be able to immediately write off unlimited investments in buildings, equipment, and technology. This new wave of business investment coursing through our local economies will be a strong catalyst for more jobs along Main Street. For the first time since it was established in 1916, we will end the death tax. So family-owned farms and businesses will never again fear the IRS swooping in and taking nearly half of the nest egg they worked a lifetime to build. And the result of this Built for Growth tax code is that America will leapfrog from dead last among our foreign competitors to firmly in the lead pack of pro-jobs tax codes in the world. Growth is good everywhere but in the size of the tax code. Americans are sick of this huge, complex tax code riddled with special breaks for others and nothing but headaches for them. For years, hardworking American taxpayers have asked Washington for a tax code so simple and fair and understandable that it could fit on a postcard. We've been listening, and that is exactly what we propose. For the first time in modern history, a tax code simple and fair enough to fit on a postcard. This postcard form will simplify the number of tax brackets by more than half. It will take less from taxpayers at every income level because Washington takes too much of your hard-earned dollars. And to make it easier to save for retirement and grow the local economy, we will cut taxes on savings and investment to half the regular rate. The postcard we propose will include help with the basics, home and children, charity and college. It will be that simple. It will be that fair. But make no mistake, America, this is not our tax code, it's yours. You deserve a real say in how you are taxed. So, before this new tax reform proposal is introduced into law, we will be asking the American people, do you want simple and fair as a postcard or more complicated with more loopholes and sending more money to Washington? We will be listening. And finally, a simpler, fair tax code demands a simpler, fair tax collector. We will bust up the IRS as it is today, redesigning it into 3 smaller, more focused units to serve businesses, to provide state-of-the-art taxpayer service for families and individuals, and quickly and affordably resolving tax disputes. In essence, an independent and unbiased small claims court, so families and small businesses aren't forced to spend thousands of dollars to resolve a routine tax difference. So, Here's the challenge going forward. Tax reform only happens once a generation, and it can be too easily hijacked by Washington and special interests. At this urgent moment in history, as America struggles to regain its standing in the world, and Americans struggle to regain their standard of living, we can't afford to continue to struggle under this tax code. House Republicans believe it's time for a change. It's time, America, to let your voice be heard. If you want more local jobs, speak up. If you want a simple and fair postcard, speak up. If you want to stop fearing the IRS, speak up. And like us, if you want America to be the strongest economy on earth for you and your children, it's time to speak up loudly. And now I introduce I'd like to introduce our whip, Steve Scalise.
Well, I first want to congratulate Kevin Brady and the Ways and Means Committee for the hard work that they've put in to get us to this point. You look at this plan, and it represents over 50 members of Congress who brought their ideas forward as well, who represent every region of this country. Everybody knows that this tax code is broken. It's one of the things that's holding back our economy. It's holding back our ability to compete with other countries. I am tired of seeing American companies leave America to be able to remain competitive. All that President Obama does is criticizes the company when they're on their way out the door. Doesn't it make a lot more sense to actually go and fix the problems that are causing American businesses to leave just to be competitive? That's what this code does. This new plan completely reorganizes the tax code that we all know is broken and creates a more simplified plan that makes it easier for families to save for their retirement. It makes it easier for small businesses to grow. We completely eliminate the death tax, one of the most immoral taxes that actually is one of the biggest threats to small businesses being able to stay in family hands, so that if you build a business, you can actually pass it on to your kids. It's part of the American dream, and yet that's one of the things that this tax code destroys. We have all seen that the IRS actually targets people based on their political views. Doesn't it make sense to rein in the IRS, take power away from the IRS, and put that power back in the hands of families all around this country with a more simplified postcard-size tax code? A tax code where you can actually fill out your taxes on a postcard while still being able to have your mortgage interest deductions and your charitable contributions that families love all around this country. So this is a great day to be able to talk about the contrast between a pro-growth, bold idea like a tax code that's simplified that the Republicans are bringing forward versus the old failed way that President Obama and liberals in Washington want to continue to keep growing, where the IRS stays powerful and has so much influence over destroying our economy. So it's an exciting day. A lot of great work has been done by Kevin Brady and the Ways and Means Committee to bring us to this point. And it's a great contrast that we can bring forward now to the American people in these next few months, because ultimately the American people are going to make this decision in November. Do they want a more simplified tax code that puts more power in the hands of families by taking it away from the IRS and bureaucrats in Washington? To talk more about this is somebody who knows a lot about tax policy. Before he was Speaker, he had another job, Chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, which he still probably wonders about sometimes, but Brady's not giving that up. Our Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan.
Thanks, man. I used to know something about tax policy. This job takes it away from you. No, just kidding. Thank you very much. I just want to say how proud I am of my fellow colleagues. They have done outstanding work over the last 6 months. They have put together a serious, principled agenda for 2017. This tax reform plan is absolutely no exception. The way I'd sum it up, we want a tax code that works for taxpayers, not for tax collectors. We want to make it simpler, flatter, fairer. Bring the number of tax brackets down from 7 to 3. Lower rates for every hard-working American. Bring the top rate down to 33%. Close those special interest loopholes and carve-outs. Consolidate those deductions and credits. Make it so simple that the average American can do their taxes on a postcard and that the average IRS agent can actually understand. More than that, we want America to be the best place in the world to do business. We cut taxes on small businesses. We lower their top tax rate to 25%. We cut our corporate tax rate, which is the highest in the industrialized world, down to 20% from 35%. Stop taxing people when they bring their money into our country, so they bring more. Stop taxing new investments. Don't punish people for saving and for investing. Reward them. All of these things are going to grow our economy and create jobs. All of these things, these reforms, will raise our wages right here in America. And finally, the IRS needs to get its act together. It needs to put taxpayers first. So we overhaul and streamline the Internal Revenue Service. We install a new commissioner, and we clear out the bureaucracy. And we update their technology so that taxpayers can get help and the privacy that they deserve. All of these things will fix our tax code. And all 6 parts of this agenda will get our country back on track. I think it's good to remember why we started this project in the first place. We did it because we are living in a very uncertain time in America. 70% of Americans think America is headed in the wrong direction. We agree with that. But the way we see it, that means that we have an obligation. We have a moral duty and an obligation to offer a better way, to give our fellow citizens who are so worried about the direction of this country a new direction, a better way to lift people out of poverty, a better way to keep America safe, a better way to grow our economy, to protect self-government, a better way to fix our health care, and now a better way to fix our tax code. If you want to learn more about all 6 of our plan parts, go to better.gop. To close, I want to say how I see this moment that we are in. We are going into a global economy that is faster than anything we have ever seen before. One part of our country is okay with this. Another part of our country is very concerned, very anxious, and very skeptical about this. They're wondering, how are we going to be able to preserve our values? How are we going to be able to preserve opportunity for everyone in America? How are we going to be able to keep America strong and safe? Or really, the question is, are we, America, going to shape the global economy, or is it going to shape us? I think with this plan, once again, America will take the lead. With this plan, everyone in our country, the anxious and the eager, the old America and the new America, can unite and build a confident America. With this plan, we can take our founding principles, these beautiful animating principles that built this wonderful, exceptional country in the first place: liberty, freedom, free enterprise, government by consent, and we can bring and breathe life into these principles in the 21st century. With this plan, we can turn this country around and expand opportunity for all Americans. This is what our country needs. This is a better way. Thank you very much. We'd like to take questions. First, I would like to bring Mr. Brady up here, Chairman Brady up here, to answer questions about the tax reform plan. And then if there just possibly is a question on something else, I'll take those afterwards. Mr. Brady.
Thank you. Questions? Yes, sir.
For both of you, in this plan, what do you view in here as a sacrifice or a departure from your ideals in order to meet the revenue and distributional constraints?
Well, first, this is, we designed this to be revenue neutral within real life analysis of how our economy will grow under this. In my view, we have delivered a detailed plan on how to grow the economy, especially along Main Street, a detailed plan to simplify the tax code for most families, a detailed plan to actually return power to Americans rather than Washington, D.C. And the most important part of this whole day is to say, America, We're not imposing a tax code, we're proposing a new, simpler, fair tax code. And now it's your turn to have a say. We're going to be listening as Republicans, the American people, through this year to get their thoughts and their ideas at every step of the way. We're going to make this blueprint better. Every step of the way, we're going to make it better for the American people. And we are doing all this to introduce a tax bill to move it in 2017. So this is a serious discussion with the American people, and we're ready to listen.
Ditto. Go ahead, Kevin. Nope. Ditto.
Yes, ma'am.
This could also be for both of you. You talked about the global economy, and I wondered if you're concerned about the economic uncertainty that could be caused by the Brexit vote.
Well, Paul?
Okay. No, obviously market's going to react when new news and information like this occurs. I believe the markets will eventually stabilize. That's point number one. Point number two, all the more reason for America to lead. America needs to lead. The world wants America to lead. And with this tax reform plan, America will clearly be leading. And in so many ways, by having a code, in the Ways and Means Committee, they had to make a decision. Could they stick with the current system and get it so where it's in the middle of the pack with the rest of the country or the rest of the world, or do we have a plan that leapfrogs and leads the rest of the world? This is the plan that leapfrogs and leads the rest of the world. And so for all of these moments of possible uncertainty that are happening around the globe, having strong, powerful, confident American economic leadership is in need, and this does that. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yes.
Regarding the postcard, is that just an illustration, or is that one of the goals for the tax plan?
You know, one of the goals is to make this code so simple and understandable for people that they can file it on a postcard. And when you look at it in the blueprint, you can see, you know, one real serious tax cuts for savings and investment. That's not only good for families, it grows the economy in a major way. You're seeing the basics, a mortgage interest deduction and charitable deduction. We want people to be able to give to a local church or the local charity. You'll see help with raising kids, which is so expensive, and college costs, which is so expensive as well. And it will include an incentive for people to move to work and up that economic ladder. But that's the postcard. It is as simple and fair as that. And so the key question for America is, do you want a code that simple and understandable? Or, you know, we can load that postcard up with dozens, if not hundreds, of special interest provisions, as long as everyone understands. That means you've got to send far more money to Washington and sort of beg to get it back to your pocketbook. And we're thinking the American people want to keep those dollars in their family, their pocketbook, and their local economy. But we're going to be listening to the American people about whether they want that simple and fair postcard.
Couple over there.
Yes.
Just a little more detail on the deduction you would eliminate, and how would you treat tax-deferred savings for retirement?
Well, two things. Go to the blueprint and you'll see the layout of where we want to go. And as you'd imagine, to lower rates and simplify things, we have to take a lot of the special provisions and set them aside so that the code is lower and fair and flatter. From that standpoint, we know that grows the economy and we know it can go forward. What was the second part? Oh, yeah. We put a real premium on savings and investment. And so the Ways and Means Committee, along with House Republicans, will continue work to simplify the way we save. Today, there are just too many provisions. It's really complicated. I think we have teenage boys, so we're saving for college. I think the cheat sheet for the savings provisions on college is 90 pages long. That's the simplified summary of it. We think we can do a lot better than that. And so the committee and House Republicans are also continuing work to simplify the way we save. We think there is a better way. Yes, ma'am.
The rate structure you guys are proposing here is a bit of a departure from the past budget blueprints that Speaker Ryan and you guys have all voted on. Can you explain how you got to these rates now and how it's all from such a...
You know, think about this. When President Reagan started his reform, there were 15 tax brackets. And today we're proposing just 3. And what we do is we consolidate down those tax rates. And so we're simplifying by lowering them at every level, effectively eliminating the 10% bracket. And we do that in a way that simplifies and grows the economy. And we also do it in a way that this fits within our budget. It's revenue neutral within real life analysis of the economy. Those were key goals. And so if you combine a lower and simpler tax code with real pro-growth incentives for business, and a completely different IRS, we think we've positioned America for a much stronger economic future going forward, certainly than what we have today.
Well, the 33% top rate, are you saying that it would not be possible to get down to the 25% in the budget blueprint and the revenue neutral?
We followed the principles we've laid out in simpler, fair, and flatter. We think this guarantees, certainly makes more certain tax relief at every income level and does it in a fair and flatter and simpler way. So those principles were exactly adhered to. Yes, ma'am.
That's for the after the tax question part.
Yeah.
The political environment behind the Brexit vote, the anti-establishment vote, and do you think there are parallels for our elections in the fall?
Well, sure. The question is about the Brexit vote. I do believe, look, as an American, we value the principle of sovereignty, self-determination, government by consent, and limited government. These are very important principles, and these principles are being expressed here at home and around the world. So we clearly understand the thinking behind these principles. Let me just say, since you're going off the tax script, I'll go off it with you just for this moment, Deirdre. England is our indispensable ally. Our friends in the United Kingdom are our indispensable ally, and this is a very special relationship, and that relationship is going to continue no matter what. Period. End of story.
Last question.
Yes, ma'am.
You talk a lot about hearing input from American people. Do you have any plans to do some sort of formal solicitations or comments, or do you guys tend to hit the road and have town halls?
All the above. The invitation to speak out and for us to listen begins this moment. We have at our Better Way website, the blueprint. We have at the Ways and Means Committee /tax reform, this blueprint. We'll be both inviting formally comments from the American public and our local businesses, but also Ways and Means House Republicans. We will be going out throughout our districts, throughout the country, basically asking people, is this a simple and fair tax reform that you want? Or do we want to continue with the same complex, burdensome, almost unknowing tax code that we have today? And as we do that listing, we'll be preparing for tax legislation in 2017 and moving to fix this broken code.